Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So, just to before I begin this, as I've already told, I'm doing my PhD at Symbiosis International University, and the topic is on more on entrepreneurship, but focus more on the role of mentoring, which I
Sure.
found there is a gap for research to be done, and intent is to build a model for mentors and mentees, and use it across platforms. Just to give a heads up, I'm also a trustee on the TIE Global. So I'm also trying to see this model could be given further to organizations like TIE and various places, because doing PhD and if the research stays in the library is not good
Yeah.
to me. So idea is that of that, because I'm a practitioner. I've been myself an entrepreneur. It's been more than 2 decades, so I've been doing this. So that's it.
Wow. So, it's strange that you say this. I just got a message like on at 11:17 from the Thai president in Jaipur. And same thing, they've been trying to have a dialogue with me. I mean, they've done, they wanted to know what I charge and stuff about like rendering the same mentorship and boot camps and education for, their members and the kids, students. Yeah.
Yes, and Rajasthan is one of our flagship chapter in India. Just to give you
Yeah.
an idea, and they are supercharged team
Yeah,
with
yeah,
works.
yeah. They're
Yes,
a big enthusiastic bunch.
yes.
There's a lot of activity. I know quite a few people from there.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. So
So
yeah, why don't you get started
yeah,
with your
I'll
question?
just yeah, to begin with, I request you to briefly introduce yourself and how has been
Sure.
your journey, and then my questionnaire will start.
All right. Okay. So my name is Nidhi Mehta. I have been an entrepreneur for 20 years. Entrepreneurship is what I know best, and I absolutely love it. I completely believe that it's the biggest tool of empowerment that a society, a government has to be able to remove any kind of inequality from the system and create equal opportunity for all. I personally have witnessed it across the globe. So I have started three companies. This is my fourth one on which I work, which is mostly into this entrepreneurship ecosystem nurturing. But my three companies before, my journey started in Silicon Valley. I sold the company in 3 years. I grew it like I think 300x from where I started, and it was a service-based company into health and wellness space. My second company was in Singapore, and I franchised it when I moved out of there. So that was again a 4-year record, very profitable. And my third company was a product-based company because I wanted to see a different side of entrepreneurship, and that was in India, which I spun off and I exited out of in 2019. And then I said that, this is something I absolutely love. I've done service, I've done product, and I've been very fortunate to be successful in And I think one of my biggest, I would say, what I endorse for my success is my ability to be very focused on revenue generation. I'm extremely focused, and that is why I think my mentorship really helps startups also. And so I decided that what I wanted to do next was to be able to create more entrepreneurs, in the rural sector, in refugee sector, in, just a regular entrepreneurship ecosystem, because that way I can empower many, many people to one, realize their own dreams, have that confidence that they can they have the capability to turn the idea into a profitable venture. I wanted to seed entrepreneurship in students at an early age. So I work a lot in that domain too for student entrepreneurship to help them understand how important it is to be frugal, to be resourceful, to be able to see everything with a very creative bent of mind and not just a myopic theoretical knowledge, right? And so that's pretty much been my journey. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is my fourth venture. Like I said, I have an edtech firm which does boot camps to train people from even generating an idea with my own ideation quadrant through launching their business. It's not theoretical, it's completely practical, and I make them launch at the end of it. And then I have this, so 50% of my time I dedicate towards that, because that helps me earn money for my sustenance. And my 50% of the time I dedicate towards a lot of what I call my community service give back activities in terms of entrepreneurial activity. Yeah.
Got it. And I did read about your 10K entrepreneurs by 2032. I think very inspiring to see that. Um, just to start my first question, uh, share the details of your preparations before the start of mentoring program as a mentor.
Sure. So what I usually do is I invite my mentees to share uh, what has been their three biggest accomplishments since they started their journey as an entrepreneur. What has been the three biggest challenges that they find as roadblocks? What is their business aspiration or goals for themselves, right? So when they write this to me as an introduction, it gives me a very deep insight into what their struggle and challenge areas are, and what they really aspire and where are they, so it can help me to map the structure very clearly. Do they need help with the revenue modeling? Do they need help with digital marketing strategy? Most of that part. And I also a lot of the incubation centers that hire me as a mentor, for them one of the goals is help these startups build their business pitch deck, because they have to do the pitching session. So when it comes from there, then I have a very structured way, because of course I've been an entrepreneur for, in this ecosystem for 20 years. I've done it for myself. I make them build an entire pitch deck, which is actually their business strategy from scratch. What's the, right from even restarting on the whiteboard, why did you keep this name for your business? What's in the name? Why this brand name? Does it need a change? Does it signify what you're setting out to do? What should be the tagline? How do you do your branding? Then moving towards the market opportunity. How do we get there? Your financial modeling, revenue modeling, growth opportunity. And then why do we need funding and how much do we need? Because these are questions that anybody who wants to invest in you will ask you. If you're asking me for 50 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupees, how do you intend to spend it? What are your basic foundational, pillars? And how have you been functioning without money so far? So you got to prove those things. You just can't write something and then not be able to answer and back it up. So that's how I prepare. And now I've been doing it for so long, honestly, Santosh. One is, of course, my own companies, and two, I've been in the entrepreneurship, education, mentorship, and coaching segment for now. It's been 1.5 years, which I call long for my, in my definition. So honestly, if you wake me up at 2 o'clock at night and say, Nidhi, please go and deliver this talk on product market fit without a laptop, I can just do it, because it's just in my system now.
Great. I think I'll go to my next question. Help me understand the actions you took to establish trust and collaborative mentoring environment with your mentee.
I think the first way I establish that is by the moment they come to know that I've done this myself and I've been successful. I've been able to turn companies around. I've been able to get profitable from the first day or like my first month, right? A trust comes in. Then, of course, so I think I built trust through the journey that I have created for myself. So I walk the talk, right? And so somebody who I'm mentoring immediately feels that, okay, she's done it in product. If they're into a product business, or if they're in service, they know I've done it in service also. So a sort of a credibility comes in, which creates this subtle, immediate, unsaid trust. And then I personally see, I'm very good with my subject. I will tell you this, that entrepreneurship, I'm very deep in it. I read a lot about it. I have not just theoretically, but I've lived it for 20 years in different countries, in different circumstances, in different areas. So I think that comes out when I'm talking to them, when I'm discussing, when I come up with ideas, when I may ask them questions which can help them brainstorm in the right direction. And I think that's how trust builds.
Sure. Share your expectations from the mentoring program before the start of the program. Like any, you set some
With my
expectations.
mentee
Yes,
or with the incubation center who may be hiring
mentees, I
me.
would say rather.
Mentees, okay. So one of my expectations from them is that I want them to think. I don't want them to think that I'm a teacher who's going to do it for them. I'm not the doer for them. I am a catalyst and enabler. So I have to ask the right questions for them to start thinking outside the box and find out the solution and answers themselves. So I lead them to a path. That's why I call myself a business coach, because I'm inquiring, I'm creating curiosity, inquisitiveness in them by asking the right questions for the business. And then, of course, I help them to brainstorm and stay in that steer mode, because I have experience, I make sure they're focused. The other thing I expect from them is to respect my time. So I'm very strict about it. If somebody has taken schedule, because I'm working with a lot of incubators, international as well as in India. Then I have my own personal clients who are small and medium-sized business who hire me as a business coach, and I do weekly sessions with them. So my calendar is by the hour blocked. So I will absolutely not appreciate it if somebody is not showing up in the last minute, no matter what it is, without information. Because that's an opportunity cost for me, that I didn't give this time to somebody else because you had blocked. And which is why one of the things that I do, and I'm very clear with every incubation center, is I don't care if you pay me 5 rupees, honorarium. Usually I charge 3,000 rupees an hour as my honorarium fee when I'm doing online. If I do offline, it's double, right? It's not my consulting fee, because that would be something a startup absolutely can't afford, or an incubator. So I say this is an honorarium because it's a basic respect for the time that I'm giving to you. And it is a commitment for you towards me and my time. So I tell mentees this very clearly. So if they have had a no-show, I'm so strict, I will immediately bill them for half an hour, because I wait for somebody for 15 minutes before I log off, right? So and my whole hour is gone. So because I've created that discipline, now my mentees know that they are not, they can't cancel. And I think this professional discipline only we can bring. And I think that helps because I come from a very strong professional background myself. So and I'm okay with people saying that, okay, that's not how we work and I'm not going to do it. It's okay. But for me, I set the expectations very right with them, that it's not that I'm sitting free. And, for me, this is passion. I'm only doing, otherwise I would be running my own fourth big startup and putting all my energies into building profitability for myself. I'm doing this because now I'm motivated and committed to give back the way I have received. So,
Yeah. And next one is in continuation to that. Share those of your expectations which met successfully during or after the mentoring program.
so most of my expectations are met well. Like I said expectations very clearly. Now my incubators know my reputation, that I'm on time, and all of that. So everyone shows up unless there's a real emergency, and they'll message me like a day before or 3 days before that, ma'am, I won't, and then I'll schedule them elsewhere. So respect for time is something I do get from them. Respect for my work I get from them, because I think they do realize that there are bigger companies who are hiring me for $300 an hour and they pay me, and here they're getting it for 3,000 rupees an hour, which is, I mean, you do the math, right? So they've started to respect that value. That it's a long time before you can start affording a consultant from a McKinsey or BCG, but here you're getting that at not, at nothing. It's like if you just put the salary of your peon, and if you're doing 1 hour session with me once a week, which is good enough, that's the salary you would pay technically to your peon. So it's affordable, and I think they understand that they must take advantage of it. They must make use of it. And it's been, I've never had issues with the mentorship thing.
So, and
I think, yes, I did have a challenge, I'll tell you.
yeah,
It
my
was
next
with the,
question is about the challenge
yeah,
actually. And just continue.
okay.
Sorry to interrupt because
No, no,
the
no.
order I'm just going.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Share those of your expectations which did not meet successfully during your session. So,
So, this summer I did with Atal Tinkering Labs. I really wanted to, because I told you I'm very gung-ho about student entrepreneurship, seeding it. And I thought the best way to enter this space was through the government, because I do a lot of with AIC. So I thought Atal Tinkering Labs, and then I get so many students. It was just, I don't even know how it was managed. Like I had no clue as a mentor how to structure it. What did they want me to do? Did they want me to run sessions myself? How? What were the outcomes? It was just so much gray that as a mentor, I just lost the plot, the ploy. What was required, and I think that was one thing I felt. I wish it was done. So I think my biggest challenge that I see in India, especially with the incubation centers, is that most of the time it's like a tick mark that you have on your checklist, because they get funding from the government. So they have to do 5 sessions of entrepreneurship, 10 mentorship sessions, this much funding should go. And they only do that basic to get it checked. It's not like you're not personally invested to see the welfare or the growth of your startup, which I feel can't happen with 5 sessions. It's a continuous thing, and you have to create a roadmap for each one of them, like how we create roadmap or career growth maps for every employee that we hire in a company. That this is what your success paths will be. The same way, I think a mentor, if they click with a mentee, there must be a way to kind of give them at least continuity of work for at least a year till that mentee is completely stable, earning to continue hiring this person as a business coach on their own. Because 3,000 rupees is not much. I mean, that's what I charge individually also if it's a startup. But at least for a year, you got to handhold them to ensure that after this, again, they don't go into this blind space. Nurturing is important. And I think my biggest challenge has been that I don't see that kind of strategy coming from the incubation centers. It's more like karte hain because we have to do rather than okay, what can we do to make this happen?
got it. And next one is help me understand if this mentoring program helped you learn and grow personally.
Oh, big time. Because I am sector agnostic, so I have mentored startups from so many industries, from healthcare to agrotech to pharma. I've done retail space, food space. I've done tech, uh, deep tech, for their marketing, go-to-market strategy, because that's my strength. So whether it's a technology startup or a non-technology or a craft startup, one of the key functions for any small company or a solo entrepreneur is how will I make money to survive? So the revenue modeling piece, the go-to-market strategy is a very integral part, even more important than I think the financial modeling initially, right? Because you can, anyways, they are frugal. That's how the mind is. You don't have money, so you're going to work with less resources. But to open their mind to how to earn and how fast you can earn is my specialty. So, and because of that, I've been able to work with different industries because they need this expertise, digital marketing strategy, content strategy, how do I position my brand? And that has allowed me to learn because I deep dive into my own industry, reading and research before I can mentor somebody. So if you are, say, in the education industry and I'm not from there, I have to know about the industry before I can even coach you, right? What's happening in the global market, what's happening in the Indian market, who are the top players, so that I can ask you those questions that I need answers for you to start thinking. So it's been tremendous growth and learning, and that's why I love this space because it's continuous growing up for me also.
Sure. Share those of your knowledge, experience, and other attributes which you thought you could leverage to help your mentee.
Uh,
It's more like a
So
repetitive question, but this is like you have already
yeah,
covered it.
I
But
think having run businesses globally has really helped me to help my mentees if they want to get into international expansion or to make them give them a real picture of what it requires to be there in that space. To being able to think outside the box with a clear focus on doing, like your single focus needs to be how are you going to make money and be financially sustainable without searching for funds outside. Can you do it on your own? Can you be profitable with what you have? And that is something that I've really been able to, kind of create value for my startups.
sure. Next one is help me understand the expectations you had from your mentee.
Like I told you, this value for time, respect for somebody else's, respect for what the incubator is providing you as value and service, and take advantage of that. Don't let it go because these things cannot be afforded by a startup on their own. So if it's being given to them at a, minuscule cost, because most of the time the incubators are paying me, so the startups get it for free, then they should just jump on every opportunity to get experts like me to help them see it differently.
Sure. Again, it's a part of your earlier answer, but I'll still go ahead. Share the actions and activities of your mentee which helped in establishing trust, collaborative environment, and make the best use of your mentoring program.
Their activity is that when I give them a lot of, I would say, research to do, go back and look at the market opportunity, think of revenue, they go back into it, which opens their mind. And I've started to see how they evolve with me. They get a sense of a structured way of operating because as entrepreneurs, and I've been through it, our biggest peril is we are always in the firefighting mode. We come and we are like, oh my God, I'm stuck with these emails. Some, customer sent a bad review. My employees didn't show up. Production guy hasn't come. Kya kare, kya kare? They stop thinking strategy. And the day you stop thinking strategy, even if you're like, say, the Amazon of the world, if you don't think strategy as a leader, you are bound to go downhill because strategy is something that is a continuous evolution for a business that helps you to go pivot, and that is something I make them do and they do it. Maybe after the mentoring sessions they probably, I don't know how disciplined they are, but at least while they are with me in the sessions they are very prudent about it.
Okay. And again, continuation. Share the knowledge, experience, and other attributes of your assigned mentee which you liked and elaborate.
uh, I like the passion each one of them comes with. See, we only start entrepreneurial journeys because we are passionate about an idea. Otherwise we would start like a business. My father did this, so I'm, making nuts and bolts, even though I don't care about it. I'm not passionate about nuts and bolts. But the entrepreneurs that I work with are all driven by a passion that they had, an idea that they really believed in, and they've started to build on that and create a business out of it. I really appreciate that drive. I appreciate that sense of commitment they have in that idea. And I appreciate them putting in all their hard work, their 24/7 commitment. Entrepreneurship is not easy. Financially, operationally, mentally, it exhausts you because it consumes you. You're thinking 24/7, especially initial days, right? When you're very bootstrapped. And it requires a certain kind of a very strong characteristic in you to be able to get through that phase, because there'll be dark times when things are not working out, nobody's responding to your sales calls, somebody says no to you for business and you're just sad, you just question yourself, you self-doubt, but then we again find the energy to move ahead, and that's what I love, the spirit that each entrepreneur has.
Okay. Share the knowledge, experience, and other attributes of your assigned mentee which you did not like. The flip side of the question, what I asked you.
Okay. So what I don't like is sometimes the sole focus is not how do I grow my business? It's about how do I get funding. And that's something I have to really reverse psychologically work with my mentees and say, look, it's not about funding. It's about, can you do this on your own? If you're able to do it on your own, people will come with a platter and a check and they'll say, take my money, because if you do it on your own, you can scale now with my money. But if your only focus is, this guy got startup funding and that's why I think they're cool and they're successful, it's not a yardstick for success, getting funding. And they don't realize you're signing up a lot. There are no free lunches in this world. I tell them all the time. I said, you're giving up so much for sometimes little, or sometimes because you don't even need it. You've not explored other means of sustenance. You've not even tried to become self-sustainable because your only mind frame is mujhe funding mil jaye. Then I'll be the next Flipkart. Then I'll be, talked about in the newspaper. It's not glamour. And so some of the mentees, when they just say, man, can you help me? I want to pitch and I want to get funding. How will I get funding? That's something that really I don't appreciate.
Okay, next one. If given the opportunity, would you like to continue to work with your mentee? If yes or if no, also you can just say like.
Always I would love to work with them because I feel I've nurtured them initially and I want to continue growing with them and see their growth and be a part of it through business coaching, where I tell all my startups that coaching is like the morning energy pill that you need. So you need that weekly pill, your vitamin D you need, the same way you need this weekly vitamin D pill, because a coach will allow you to step outside the shoe of operational mayhem and think, where are you going? Ask you questions. And sometimes you can't discuss these things with your employees, leadership teams, because there are emotions involved. People get hurt. Oh, you said no to me. You said no to my idea. So you need somebody who's a third party, unbiased, but a very well versed industrial veteran who can give you sound advice, who you would not feel dejected by if they said, look, I don't think what you're doing is the right way. I would urge you to look at things this way. So I think business coach is something that must be that should be a requisite for every startup as they grow.
Sure. Help me understand the startup
And I would
problems.
love to be that for a people.
Sure. I'll just take my next one.
Mm.
Help me
Yeah.
understand the startup problems or challenges which got resolved during or after the mentoring sessions.
A lot of challenges that usually that get thing is all related to revenue. They have no ways where they feel they can make, they have one stream that they follow. And when they do my mentoring sessions and make them explore, brainstorm to at least 7 to 10 ways in which revenues can be brought. Product positioning, product innovation, how do you sell the same piece of product in 10 different ways towards 10 different customers, whose needs are different, but they need the same product. But you have to speak a different language to them for them to buy it, or to understand what this product is. So that is, I think, yeah.
And next one is help me understand the startup problems or challenges which remain unresolved.
Uh, Sometimes the problems that remain unresolved is this struggle for raising funds, right? Some things that remain unresolved is they don't work on their personal branding, which I think is one of the most important things for startups to do. As leaders, founders, even for getting investment, they need to have a very strong personal brand, because VCs don't just invest in an idea, they invest in the team. So that personal brand positioning is important. So that sometimes it's not taken by them too seriously. And I think that's a challenge.
Share the details of the impact this mentoring program had in the growth of the startup.
That you have to ask them, but I think it has had tremendous level of confidence, level of conviction now, because they've seen a structure, to the idea. Sometimes the entire plan that they had gets changed through the mentor sessions, everything, right? Including the name. And I almost feel like, the, yeah, so, that. And I think, so these are very important elements to their success.
Sure. Thinking about the entire mentoring program, share your thoughts and ideas on how can future similar programs be improved further.
So one, I think every incubator who hires mentors, right, or educational institute, they must have a structure that look, and I think the easiest structure is you know that a pitch deck should have 16 or 18 slides or these elements, right, that need to get. So you give it to every mentor and say that this is the basis on which you got to work your sessions. So if you're doing 16 sessions, this is how you do it, so that every there's a consistency in style and structure, because I have a different style. You'll come with a different style. Sometimes startups who come to me, they say कि oh ma'am, पिछले वाले mentors के साथ तो सिर्फ बात ही करते रहते थे, मतलब हमने कभी structure ही नहीं किया. We used to say अच्छा ये problem हो रही है तो पूरा session बस वो problem में we talk. So there's no building, then it's again firefighting. So I feel structure for strategy is very important, and we come in as mentors to make you do something you are not being able to do yourself,
Got it.
which
Elaborate
is
how,
strategic thinking,
yes,
which is understanding.
elaborate how the mentor mentee selection and assignment process can be improved.
So one, based on the needs, right? So who needs what? If somebody's need is technical, then of course I'm not the person with the capability. So they're going to match it with somebody who's into AI, deep tech, whatever. Somebody who really needs help with go-to-market strategy, expansion, product innovation. I'm the right person. So even as mentors, we know our strengths, right? And I think when the way they should put them together is what is their need. So they must have a form that people fill out, that my need is international expansion, my need is to go online, my need is to digital marketing. And then based on that, they should map it with a person who has these skill sets. Also, availability, like I personally have felt this very strongly because I mentored all industries, boys, girls, like, male, females. Females are very comfortable with female mentors because there are certain challenges they have which a male might find very peculiar. I have women who tell me that, Nidhi, I can't expand here because my family won't allow me to go outside after 7. Now, if she says this to a man, they'll be like, in today's day and world, look at you, you're an entrepreneur, you're a founder, you should fight for your rights. It's not possible. You call it the right or the wrong or good or bad, but we live with certain limitations, may or may not. And can I provide solution to those women with those limitations and boundaries and come up with the best of their ability? So I think that also should be taken into consideration.
Yes. Then my last question. If given the opportunity, would you like to continue your mentoring journey? And if you want to elaborate any last words about your whole expertise on this.
Absolutely. See, I entered the mentoring space because I personally will tell you, in my life, I've been very fortunate that I've found my true callings every time with every venture. My first venture was purely from my true calling, and I still do it. I still teach dance and wellness. I still work with corporates. And this, in the same way, is I know it's my calling, and I feel energized when I do it. I'm happy when I'm mentoring. I'm happy when I'm discussing work, and I'm seeing my startup scale or reach a milestone, or, call me and say, oh, ma'am, we got this, business, or we were talking about that. It's just so much joy to see them successful. And that is why I'm committed. I moved into this space with my eyes wide open. Like, of course, it has a fraction of what I used to make as, in terms of money, but it has extreme gratification. And now my role or my desire for myself, my goals have changed, where earlier money was a very supreme factor in my drive. Now money is a secondary factor, impact is a greater factor. So I'm driven by purpose and motivation rather than money.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Nidhi. I
Did you
think,
get it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I could record it. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to stay connected. And I'll definitely share my findings in days to come. This is my initial
Absolutely.
research work. Thank you so much.
Yes.